And I'd buy this car just for this game. What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. Today I bring you the 2021 all-new Tesla Model 3 Performance. Wow, so I'm in the 2021 Model 3 Performance, and we're gonna try to launch this thing. Now, if you do wanna launch it, you can't just go to driving and then hit the track mode. It's actually grayed out. The only way to do it is you actually have to put it in park, and then you can put it into track mode, and then track mode, and then you see have this, get the noise, put it in drive, press the brake, and go. Oh my God, it's so buttery smooth. Everything in the car just gets pushed back and then goes forward again when I let go of the gas. Headquartered in California, this has lip filler, front nose lip filler, as well as beautiful hips, beautiful booty. And we ask ourselves, why is today, March 18th, the last day that they are airing The Kardashians? Now, you should know there are 3 versions you can get in the Model 3. The first version is the standard range, which is rear-wheel drive only, and that does 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds. The second version is the long-range version that is all-wheel drive or dual motors, and that does 0 to 100 in about 4.3 seconds. Now, this Performance is a beast. You see the red car back there? If you're part of our show, you'll know that last week we reviewed my 2018 R8, and that does 0 to 100 in about 3.4 seconds. This beast does it in 3.1 seconds, and that's dual motor, 3.1 seconds. Crazy. Can you believe this thing does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, but 0 to 60 miles in 3.1 seconds? That is ludicrous. Yeah, ludicrous is the word I'm looking for. Now, where do they start for price? Well, this starts at $37,000, goes to $46,000 for the standard, and the Performance is $56,000. Now, one of the biggest Achilles heels of EV is top speed. Now, this specific Performance does 162 miles an hour, and the standard and the regular version, you ask? Well, it's 20 miles an hour slower in terms of top speed. Do people care about top speed? Well, Porsche does, because Porsche has 2 gears and this one has 1 gear. Does that make a difference to you? I don't know. Let me know. I want to give a big shout out to Adam J. Martin for loaning us his brand new Performance Model 3. Now think about this. He just literally got this car a couple of days ago and he was like, man, I got to get this thing on the channel. I want you guys to review it. So thanks a lot, Adam. And Adam is an absolute killer in the wholesale real estate market. So if you want to follow Adam, hit him up right here on Instagram or on YouTube. Thanks, Adam. Look at this key. How cool is this? This is the actual key that you get. You can order a key fob from Tesla at a cost of $150 because it's an accessory, but your key is actually right here, as well as your phone. People use their phones for Teslas. That is the craziest thing to think about, that your phone is the key for your car. Anyways, these things got 20-inch, they call them Uber turbine wheels, and they're 20-inch Uber turbine wheels. Odd they put the word Uber in it, but it is what it is. Now, in terms of build quality, I've seen a lot of stuff online how poor the paint quality is. Now, maybe every car is different or every time they produce is different, but this one actually has no orange peel. This paint is very, very, very good. And we can zoom in to look at, there's no orange peel on this thing. If you guys can spot it, you're lying because I can't see nothing. Now, this does have black door handles that open up. You can see they're black now, they're not chrome. Also, the window trim is all black all the way around. One of the things I want to know is how to get into the car. Now, at night, this is pretty difficult. There's no lighting on the outside to indicate that the door handle is there. You've got to kind of feel it around or feel it with your hands. So that to me is a little bit different. But they did add on the inside here, look at these new insulated dual pane windows. So that should help with sound improvement, but we will find out on the drive. Now, if we bring it to the top here, you'll see this is all glass. Now, it doesn't look at that way from first glance, but this is all really tinted, and then it fades open right here to the rear window. So that's kind of cool that it's all glass. Now, when I looked at it, I initially thought that it was sort of a Sportback, that it all lifts up, but it's not. It actually has a full trunk that is fully powered. That is kind of cool, and that is standard for 2021. So if you want to unlock the door when you're in the cabin, you actually have to hit this button. There's no door handle, it's simply just a button you press and then the door pops open. And we'll get into the fit and finish of the interior cabin because I have lots to say about that. But on the outside, the best part of this car for me is really the back end. I just like how wide bodies, and then they've done some small little tweaks here, and I really like the way this looks in the back. The front, a little beluga whale-ish looking thing to me, but open sesame. So I've got my trusty key with me, and I'm trying to figure out a way to pop this trunk physically without touching the unlock handle, and I've tried all types of kicks and I can't get it to work. So maybe there isn't a way to pop the trunk up. Tesla, open trunk. No. But I did have something really, really good to tell you, is it's powered, that's great, but secondly, when the trunk closes, it makes this beeping sound, but look how solid it is when it closes. It's like a thump, which is like really good quality, because most trunk lids that are powered do this shake when they close. And I'm telling you, most cars do it, but this one doesn't. It's like a thump. I like it. All right, so I'm in the 2021 Model 3 Performance, and I'm excited. So it's my job to try to find flaws in vehicles. And obviously trying to get in this car is not the easiest. So for first timers jumping into Teslas, they're trying to figure out how to open that door handle. So that's the first thing, jumping in, but that's your fault, not the car's. But I did find something wrong with the car here. And in terms of build quality, this thing is warped on the inside. And I don't think Adam knows that yet, but he can call and complain, because yes, that is a build quality flaw. Now, when I sit in the back of these seats, yes, people have complained that you sit really low and that your knees go really high, but I think that depends on what type of body structure you have. And I think I'm fairly comfortable. These seats are very comfortable. They're really soft and padded very, very well. One thing I will complain about though is this center armrest. To actually get it, it's not easy. They need to make a little handle to pull this out. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with these back seats. They have a flat floor, and that's because the battery is underneath us, because yes, it's a battery operated vehicle. And with that, the drive, I'm just so excited to get in the drive, but there's so much tech in here that I have to go over, so be patient. It's coming, it's coming. On the inside of the handle here, there's a different texture that's on the inside of my hand when I put my hand here. It's really grippy. That's something they thought about. They didn't just use the same material all the way around. They actually have a different material on the inside of the handle when you hold it. Kind of cool, Tesla. But here's another one that drives me crazy. This is a 2021. Tech is the way. And you've got halogen lights, man. Where's the LEDs? Where's the LEDs? Okay. All right, I'm excited. Ooh, really nice seats. Really padded well. Now this has regular suspension, it doesn't have magnetic or automatic suspension. There's no adjusting with the suspension. This is the way it is. It's actually lower and tuned for the performance. Now, when I got in the car, it does have new sills for 2021, but ironically, they're just in the front and there's no sill in the back, which is kind of strange. And it also, in a performance, I'd expect to have sort of a dead pedal that is in aluminum, just like the throttle and the brake. They are actually in a, they look sporty, but the dead pedal is just carpet that's gonna get really dirty. Kind of weird, but inside it's super minimal. Like anybody that gets into a Tesla will tell you that it's just super minimal. There's nothing, it's a weird feeling, because the only thing you see here are these two little sliders, which are metal, not plastic, which is a really, really nice touch. The shifter's up here for reverse, neutral, and drive, and then park is a simple button that you push there, and then everything else here is this big screen. Now for 2021, what they've done is they've got rid of this gloss black. So there's no gloss black anywhere. It's just a really nice, they've kind of learned, I guess, from feedback, but they also do have wireless charging. So there's 2 sections here where I can just put my phone in this nice Alcantara suede feeling material here, and it wireless charges that, and that's pretty sweet. But there's no vent controls. You can't control any of the vents physically. Everything is really done through the screen. So let's jump in and take a look at this screen. But before we do, I want to talk about one extra thing that they have added, and that is magnetic visors. It's not a clip anymore. It's all done by magnets. That is kind of cool. And the center console here is nice and wide. There's lots of space. That's no different than the other one, but it's just an observation. So let's dive in to the meat and potatoes, which is this 15-inch screen. Now, when I say everything's in the screen, I mean everything's in the screen. You see, for 2021, there's actually no handle for the glove box. It's actually done through the screen. And that is because it's got something called Sentry Mode. And that basically means that it's kind of like a dash cam, but a overall camera that monitors the car for motion. So if anybody walks up to the car to try to key it or get in or look inside or try to break in, all the cameras activate to actually record that person. And that is on a USB stick, and that is actually put in the glove box, but there's no handle. Because, well, you've got to press a button on the screen to pop it open. Right here, it says glove box. I hit it, and it pops open. Cool. But on the left side, you can see the vehicle. You can actually pop the front hood and the back hood, which we actually skipped talking about the front hood. So it's sort of set up like a split screen here. On the left side, you've got actually the vehicle, and you can see that the doors are open. And then you've got this little button that you can hit here, and that pops the actual charge port, and that's where you plug it in, and it tells you you've got 414 kilometers, and you can set its limit, you can set the current charge, the schedule, the cost of supercharging, that kind of stuff. The other cool part about it is that you can pop the front and the back trunks. Now, that is all done through this. That is super cool, but man, it gets better. Let me show you. So the first screen is called Quick Controls, and that's basically where you can adjust your steering wheel back and forth, because there's no actual clip to open it up and adjust it. It's all done through this, as well as you can fold your mirrors, you can lock your windows, you can adjust the brightness of this screen. Now this was from 0 all the way to 100, and it's pretty bright, and even at 0 I can still see it. So there's a lot going on here, but if we go through the list, basically that's your lights. You can set up your dome lights and something called ambient lights, but I don't see any ambient lighting. So that's something to consider. If you want ambient lighting and you're used to gasoline powered cars in today's day and age, they do have ambient lighting. Now this one doesn't have it. As far as locks go is the next step, and you can actually see who the last person was in the car, what they used to get in the car. You can actually have child locks all done all through the car. That is crazy. Like, this is unreal. Now, obviously, this is my first Tesla we've reviewed, so if this is lengthy for you, skip to the drive part, but I'm going to go in detail on this menu. Next one up is a display mode. Now the display mode, again, you can adjust the brightness, but it's got something called screen clean mode, and that is pretty cool because if you looked at some of the other brands we've reviewed, the Audis, the Fords, that kind of stuff, they actually do leave marks on the screen, and you'd actually get someone to clean it, but this has marks on it because I can see it from the side on a really weird angle, but I can't see it up front like this, so that's a really good job they've done. As far as driving, this is where the meat and potatoes is for me, and you can have something called chill or sport. Same with steering. You can adjust the steering from comfort all the way to sport. And stopping mode, you can have a creep or roll or hold. That is kind of cool that you can actually adjust how you want it. And of course, there's track mode. Next up is Autopilot. So the cool part about Tesla, and I'm not sure you know this or not, but Tesla can do all their software upgrades over the air. So you can actually have Autopilot, like a preview of Autopilot in this. Wow. I mean, they can upgrade your car, and even in terms of performance, I've known others that have Teslas that are 2 or 3 years old, and as the year goes on, the cars get better. They upgrade the software that they can get more mileage out of it, and they can make it faster. Like a 2017 Model 3 is actually faster today than when they bought it in 2017. Crazy. So next up is navigation. It's got something called Trip Planner as well as online routing. Now what that does is, you remember, you don't get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto on Teslas. The only way to really use it is through Tesla system, but it's good because it shows you all the supercharging stations. It tells you how to get to where you're going to go with the Tesla in mind. It's not about just traffic in mind, because there are systems that are better. Waze is a little bit better in terms of traffic figuring out, or if there's an accident that's happened. Waze is a little bit better, it just works on a different platform. But this incorporates how the car is going to react to where you're gonna go, you know? So that's a really cool feature to have, that they've built that infrastructure. And people don't know this, and this is probably the biggest thing about Tesla, is that Tesla has millions of miles of people driving their products, not because they want to sell their products, but they're selling the data. You see, they have all the data that's being gathered from all their cameras on every single road, every single second. They know where you are. They have all that data, and no other car manufacturer comes close. They'll tell you their autonomous driving is going to be the best in the market for a very long time because they had a 10-year head start. And they've got cars on the road that pummel every other manufacturer combined in terms of data. Nobody even comes close. Tesla. So in terms of service, you can get the owner's manual, you can adjust the headlights, towing, wheel configuration, camera configuration, you can do all this stuff. So it gives you that sort of feel with your car where you can sort of modify it a little bit, which is kind of cool that you can do something of that stuff. Now with Sentry Mode, what you have is, as I mentioned, if somebody's around the car and they want to get in the car, what you can do is you can actually just download that, and there's a little download button. And same with when you drive it. If you feel like you want to download a portion of it, you can just hit the download button for the last 10 minutes. Again, there's a lot of tech here. So those are your buttons on the vehicle portion, but how about everything else? Well, on the bottom here, you actually have your vehicle, your music, and then you can slide this up to give you calls, calendar, camera, how much energy you're using, the charging, the web, the entertainment. Because when you are charging this car, it's not like there's nothing to do. You can actually get Netflix, YouTube, Twitch, and you can have tutorials by Tesla. So if I'm gonna hit the YouTube one, and we'll see where we're at with the YouTube, and see who we can find on here that's reviewed this car better than us. So now next up is audio. Now if we hit the audio button, you've got lots of stuff to use. Now again, this does not have satellite radio, but it does have internet streaming channels that do come standard on Tesla. So if you are used to satellite radio, Sirius XM, you can't get it. But with that said, when you hit streaming, you've got all your stuff here that you can sort of sign in to a streaming account and you can have it. Now you do have some DJ series and some genres you can go through, but you do have Spotify. So it's not like you don't have it. You've got Spotify, and Spotify pretty much has everything you need. Now, if we dig into it a little bit deeper, you can actually shut off some of your explicit content and allow mobile control. And you can actually get some DJ commentary, which is pretty cool. Like there's lots of deep stuff here. Balanced tone where you can set it up. That's cool, they got karaoke. But if you are looking for something specific, you can actually just type in what you want. Any song, albums, artists, podcasts, or stations in the search bar. So next up on the bar here is, again, that's the call, the calendar, the camera. So let's check the cameras out. So when I hit the camera button, I do have a rear camera, and then you can scroll up and actually have the side cameras, and you can see it on this screen. This screen is big enough so you have as much as your eyes can see. There's a lot here. And after camera, we have energy, charging, the web, entertainment, and my favorite is Toy Box. Now, Toy Box is super cool. You can do lots of different games when you're in this thing. Something called Fart on Demand. So if I just press the left scroll wheel, and you can pick the person in the seat that it plays that speaker. That is hilarious. Fart on turn signals. Like, they are funny, man. And then you've got something called tracks where you can record your next masterpiece. You can have a flame, like your log flame when you go online. Anyways, there's lots of fun stuff here, but let's get into the next step, and that is basically your heated seats and your HVAC. Now your HVAC, when you hit it, actually pops up, and this is where you change the airflow of the air by putting your finger here, and you can adjust where the air hits you in your face, all by just touching this pad over here. That is super cool. Again, you can also leave your climate control on when you have a dog in the car, and there's that feature, you have a dog, or when you're at the camp, you can actually stay on until you're about 20%, and then it will shut down. So two things I want to talk about before I jump into track mode. The first thing is heads-up display. In my opinion, this needs heads-up display. I know that the speed is there, but it would be pretty cool to have heads-up display right in front of you. That's the one thing I think that this is missing. And the second thing is fragrance. There's no smells that come out of the car. Now this is brand new, and as Ian said, this does smell like a new house, but there's no fragrance. And for me, I would put the Elon Musk fragrance on all Teslas. That is a standard feature that should come on all Teslas, the Musk fragrance. What do you guys think? All right, so time for track mode. So I hit the track mode button, and it asks me a whole bunch of questions, but it eventually lets me hit this track mode button. And once I activate it, there's a noise that sort of filters through the cabin. It's sort of like a whine, letting me know that we're in track mode. Now, also the display has changed. I do have sort of a battery display here, as well as the motors on all four corners. But I also have a G meter on the bottom here. That's pretty cool to have. That is race inspired. But the coolest part about this track mode, hands down, when I go back to it, now it doesn't give me a way to change it. I actually have to go into driving again and go into customize and then make a new settings, because when I do that, what it allows me to do is it allows me to adjust a few things. Handling balance, like I can move this all the way to the back, and I can make this essentially all rear wheel drive. I've got 100% of power in the back, or the other way around, I can make it 100% in the front. That's at least what this looks like. It says handling balance, and it lets me adjust from side to side. I can put a name to it, and I can adjust my stability, whether we're completely off or not, and same with regen braking. Now I know this because there's something called a race preset that's 50-50 and stability at 0, and then there's drift preset that is 100% rear wheel drive and the stability completely off. So I know for a fact this thing drifts. Let's go for a drive. Wow, so I'm in the 2021 Model 3 Performance, and the regen is strong. As soon as I let go of the brake, we're slowing right down. Like, it is a lot here, on, off. And I just like this little, if you can see it or not, but there's the little black and then the green, and it's basically charging or using. So, and it's cool. Look at all the cars around me, and man, this is really engaging. This is a very engaging car. If it's not engaging in terms of driving, it's definitely engaging in terms of visuals. Now, once the traffic all goes away, we can kind of test it out there, but handling is very direct. Oh, pressing the honk, but the honk's not working. Oh, there it is. Okay. You can see, look at that, the car moving, the person there on the skateboard. So one of the things I noticed with electric cars is because we're so in tune with its quietness and its silence, we're actually trying to find stuff. So the rattles and the creaks, we're actually trying to find it. It's the craziest thing. It's like, the stuff I read about online about Teslas is like, yeah, you can hear a squeak here and there. You can hear the road noise. I mean, you can hear those things because you're more tuned to want to listen to that. And I know that obviously other cars probably aren't this way because you have the engine to hear, so they complain about the engine. But when it's so quiet, like it is now, all I can really hear, again, is the outside, barely. Inside here, it's silent. The fan I can hear a little bit, and because I have this set on hold, as soon as I touch the throttle, I hear a clicking sound to disengage the auto hold. But this is super cool. Like the cars, and it has like different shape of cars. That's the craziest part. Like, like we know that these are SUVs, and we know that's a car. And that's a car, I mean, that's a Honda Civic, and that's a ML350 in front of me, and then a CRV further down. Like, that is nuts that it can tell you what type of car it is based on its shape. So now as we come to a stop here on this traffic light, you can see that I'm not touching the brakes. I have not touched the brakes. We're in hold, and it's all I'm doing is letting off the throttle. And it shows me on this display that my brake lights are on when I come to a stop. Again, by not me touching the brakes. The other thing I want to talk about is actually using the brakes. Now, when you don't use the brakes on any car, if you don't use your brakes for 2 weeks, guess what happens? They get rusty and they start getting wobbly, which I would assume is the same in Teslas. You need to actually use the brakes from time to time. So I suggest anybody with brakes at any stage to actually press the brakes and use them so they don't actually warp over time. So remember, if you got EV, use your brakes. Now, there's been numerous tests done on this Model 3 Performance to give you 0 to 60 miles an hour or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.1 seconds. Now, if you do test it yourself, you'll probably get numbers of 3.2 to 3.3, and that's because you have to have at least 70% worth of power, or sometimes people say 90% worth of power, but they also measure it in a different metric. They do it as a 1 foot off metric, which means you have to actually pass 1 foot of movement before they start timing it. And that is because to get off the line takes a second. So they measure it from moving 1 foot to measure it. That's how Tesla does it, at least in terms of performance. And this is coming from an innovative company like Tesla, because they're pricing you a car based on the gas savings you're going to have, as I mentioned in the studio. And that essentially means that if you get 500,000 miles out of the battery, which you can get, this car costs you 0 on the fuel you've saved. So this is where this blows the doors off. I'm doing 70 kilometers an hour now, and this is faster than pretty much most supercar. Not faster than some hypercars, but check this out. From 70, I'm gonna accelerate, and we're going a little bit uphill here now, and foot to the ground, 2 hands on the wheel, and boom. Look at that power. Oh my God. Oh my, oh my God. Oh my God. The crazy part, it doesn't look like it produces this kind of power in terms of performance. Oh man, oh man. Oh man, oh man. But back to the driving, because this does have a more performance-oriented suspension, I do feel the suspension is fairly stiff, but not overly stiff. And definitely the seats take some of the beating for the suspension. Man, this thing is fast, and it's so smooth. It's so smooth, it's so fast. And in terms of handling, the smoothness and the, oh my God. Everything in the car just goes plop, 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 plop. It's just funny. But in terms of body roll, there's a little bit of body roll, but not much. It handles very, very well. Not in track mode. Wow, that is acceleration right there. Now the turns left and right, again, this one does have Pirellis on them. They don't have Michelin Pilot Sports or the 4Ss. They're just, oh my God, this thing just has so much jam. I love it. It's amazing. And it's just crazy the visibility you have. Now they have this A-pillar here that's fairly large, but it just nosedives, and I can basically see the bottom. And it's not a bouncy suspension, it's fairly firm, and it's nice. Now, the one thing I will say, when I was turning left and right to just absorb to understand how it fit in the seat, I was sliding from left to right fairly heavy. I would have liked a little bit more bolstering seats in the performance, but I understand. It's an everyday cruiser with some power. I want to try driving in steering comfort. I just want to have light, and that's what I do in my car. I actually have very light steering and then aggressive everything else. And also maybe a little bit lighter suspension, but again, you can't adjust the suspension. Man, this is like from like 0 to crazy and like nothing. It's just silence on. It's amazing. It's amazing. Just breathe, breathe. So we're gonna try 2 separate launches. Both are gonna be in track mode. So if I go into track mode here and go to driving and then go to track mode, I want to basically put all the power to the back. So I know it sets me up with setting up a finish line and that, but I don't wanna do that. I specifically only want, this noise is a bit irritating, but anyways, I wanna be able to customize it and set up my drift preset. So that's typically all rear wheel drive. So let's see how this feels, all rear wheel drive, foot on the road. Let's go. I'm in park. I'm in park. I'm in park. I was like expecting, that was a bad one. I was in park. Dummy. All right, now I'm in drive. 1, 2, 3. Oh, oh, oh. 1, 2, 3. Oh, ooh, oh, rear wheel drive? I don't know, man. It hooks pretty well. Didn't really feel any different. I didn't get to smack as much as I was expecting to hope with the rear wheel drive on drift mode. Let's try that again with front wheel drive. Front wheel drive and go. Yeah, yep, I can definitely feel the torque steer on the front wheels. Definitely different feeling with the front handling balance versus the rear handling balance. There's 100% a difference. Well, that's enough smiling for me. This is the first Tesla I've driven. It definitely won't be the last one. And it drives very well, it's smooth, it handles great, obviously it's got a ton of power. Now, if you're a gas guy, are you gonna jump onto the Tesla bandwagon or the EV bandwagon? It doesn't have the noise, so it doesn't give you that thrill. So I feel like that's one element that's missing. Well, anyways, hope you guys like this video. As always, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks again for watching. And if you have a car you want us to review, hit us up.